Alright, g'day YouTubers. What I got here is an Apple TV2, so second generation. With the recent release of the Apple TV3, these bad boys were going pretty cheap, so I thought I'd grab myself one and go ahead and jailbreak it and install Xbox Media Center on this bad boy. The reason I decided to make this video is because upon trying to jailbreak this thing, I found that there were a whole lot of guides available showing you how to jailbreak the Apple TV using whatever the current software was, but there was no decent guide basically demonstrating how to jailbreak the Apple TV on firmware that is now outdated. So that's what this video is about, how to jailbreak that firmware that is outdated, such as 4.2.2 or 4.4.4, even though 5.0 has now been released. So I try to keep this short and sweet, and what we're going to start off doing is going ahead and plugging in your micro USB cable into the back of the unit. Okay, so once we have that flashing away, first thing I want you to do, grab your silver remote, press and hold both the menu and play pause button and at the same time, and put the unit into DFU mode by holding both of those for 7 seconds at the same time, then releasing. Okay, so you can hear there Windows detecting the detecting the hardware as it reboots the device, putting it into DFU mode. Okay, so from here, let's head off to the software. Okay, so as I mentioned, we need to firstly put this Apple TV2 into DFU mode. Now on Windows, there's a nice little way that you can check that your device is actually in DFU mode by using this little program here. It's called USB View. So go ahead and launch USB View. I'll put a link for it in the description, and you can see here amongst the list of USB devices, you can see Apple Recovery, and you can see there in brackets DFU. So that just basically is a nice little confirmation for us that the device is in DFU mode, ready for dumping these SH blobs. So close that down, and what I've got here is the latest version of iFaith. So what I want you to do is ensure you have the latest version of iFaith in a folder on your desktop. So label this folder iFaith, and inside that I want you to have the iFaith program itself. So nothing else, just that iFaith program. This is going to be important later on when we start moving files around. Okay, so go ahead and launch iFaith. In my case, I've got 1.4.2. Okay, so here we have the welcome screen for iFaith. Okay, what I want you to do is go ahead and click on Dump SHSH Blobs, click Proceed, click Let's Go. You will get this little pop-up here. Are you dumping Apple TV2? Click Yes, because obviously that's exactly what we're doing. Hit Start. Now we've already put the device into DFU mode, so you don't need to do anything at this point except wait for this timer. As soon as the timer runs out, here we go, off dumping these SH blobs. The device doesn't take too long, so we'll just sit here and wait for this to do its thing. Okay, so once the SH blobs have been dumped, we're going to be asked to save them to a location somewhere. What I want you to do is save those SH blobs into that iFaith folder that you created on the desktop. So here we go, desktop, iFaith, and so here we go, just go ahead, click Save. Okay, so it says here, iFaith has finished saving your blobs, okie dokie. Alright, let's close that down. Close iFaith down at that point because we don't need iFaith anymore from here on out. Okay, so what you should be left with now on your desktop is you have the iFaith folder that I asked you to create, and in that iFaith folder you will have the iFaith exe program, and you will have the iFaith backup of your SH blobs. Okay, so that's the end of that part. Go ahead and close down that folder. Okay, now that we've backed up our SHSH blobs, the next thing we actually have to do is go ahead and create a signed version of our current Apple TV2 firmware using those SHSH blobs. I told you previously that we weren't going to use iFaith again, but that was a lie because that's exactly what we need to do right now. So what I want you to do, go ahead, click on your iFaith folder and launch iFaith, the actual exe program. Okay, welcome back to iFaith. Go ahead and what we want to do here is click on build signed IPSW with blobs. Okay, so what we want to do here, browse for the SH blobs, and as you recall, we saved them onto our desktop into a folder called iFaith. So here you can see the SHSH blobs I just saved, so go ahead and click those. Okay, now at this point what you can do is actually save yourself some download quota and some time even by just taking note of what version of firmware iFaith is detecting. So if you want, you can tell iFaith just to go ahead and download it for you. However, what I recommend doing is taking note of the software version it reports and then going ahead and downloading that IPSW directly from another website, so you have basically a stored version of that software, because we're going to need it again later on in Season Pass. Okay, so for those of you that happen to be running iOS 4.2.2, which is what my Apple TV is, you will notice that iFaith has actually come back and told you that you're running 4.38F305. Now, for some reason, 4.2.2 is actually this version, and don't worry about that, that's entirely normal. So at this point, what I want you to do at this point is take note of the software version that's being reported by iFaith, then go ahead and open up your web browser, and I want you to head to the iPhoneWiki.com. and basically make your way through to the Apple TV section down to where you have the second generation Apple TV2, and here you have a list of the IPSW download links. So what I want you to do, go through this list until you find the IPSW that matches your firmware version. So for mine it was 4.38F305. So I'm going to go ahead and download this version. So you see here my pop-up window, I'm going to go ahead and click save. So here's my download progressing, and that's going to go ahead and save to the desktop, as that's where my default location is. So I'll go ahead and I'll let that continue downloading, and then I'll pick it up again in a moment. Okay, so that download has now finished, and what we have here is my IPSW on my desktop. So as according to iFaith, it is 4.38F305, so you see here 4.38F305. So in your case, just make sure that whatever is reported in iFaith matches whatever it is you've downloaded onto your desktop. Okay, so what I want you to do is go ahead and create a new folder on your desktop, which I want you to call Untouched. And basically, we're just going to call it that because we want to designate this IPSW as just the clean version that hasn't been altered in any way. Then I want you to create that folder and then transfer your IPSW into that folder. Okay, so there we have on our desktop the untouched IPSW in the untouched folder. Okay, so going back to iFaith, what I want you to do now is click on Browse for the IPSW. We're going to go to the desktop. We're going to go to our untouched folder, and we're going to select the IPSW that we just downloaded. Okay, so iFaith will verify it and then give you the option to click Build IPSW. So iFaith is now going to go ahead, take that firmware version that's appropriate for your Apple TV2, and it's going to sign it using your SHSH blobs, which will basically mean that iTunes will allow you to restore that firmware to your Apple TV even though Apple is no longer signing that particular firmware version. Okay, so at this point the actual IPSW isn't jailbreaked, so that's going to happen later with Season Pass. Okay, so done building IPSW, proceed. Okay, so once you get back to this point, what I want you to do is just go ahead and close down iFaith, because from here on out we really do no longer need iFaith. So close that down. Okay, so what we have on our desktop is our untouched native version of the IPSW. We have our iFaith folder containing our SHSH blobs. We have the iFaith exe program, and somewhere iFaith just saved our actual Here we go. So iFaith should have output your signed version of your IPSW to your desktop. So somewhere on your desktop you will see this folder, see an IPSW, and it will actually say in the name of it, blah 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 blah, version underscore signed.ipsw. So I want you to find this IPSW on your desktop, and I want you to copy it into, or transfer it into, the iFaith folder that I had you create previously on your desktop. So what you can see now is this one here. So that's my 4.38F305 IPSW, and it is signed by iFaith. Okay, go ahead, close that folder down. Okay, the next step in the process is we're going to go ahead and use Season Pass to create a jailbreaked version of the Apple TV2 firmware that's appropriate for your specific device. Okay, so there's actually a bit of an issue that I stumbled across with Season Pass, at least the latest version. So what I have here is two folders on my desktop now. Season Pass _win, that's actually the latest version that was downloaded from the FireCore's Jailbreaking 101 tutorial, and this is another version of Season Pass that I got through online forums, Season Pass version 4.4.4, and I'm just going to demonstrate the problem that this particular version has. So this is the latest version of Season Pass that I've just opened up, and I'm going to go ahead, launch the application, and what you get presented with is this particular little window here saying create IPSW. So what I want you to do is hold down the shift button and then left click, not right click. I want you to left click on the create IPSW, and you will see this window here pop up, allowing you to select the IPSW that you want to use. That was why I previously got you to download this thing manually through the untouched versions, because that's what we can use again here now, save re-downloading it. So navigate to your desktop, go to the untouched folder, because what we want to do is create a jailbreak version of our untouched IPSW. Choose that, and what you actually get here is this bullshit error saying this Apple TV is not eligible for this device. And as I said, it is bullshit, because my Apple TV is running exactly that firmware version. It's just that this latest version of Season Pass has some sort of bug in it. So what we're going to do is send that to the trash where it belongs, and I'm going to go ahead and, oh you fucking bitch, get in there. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead now and open up Season Pass 4.4.4, and I'll have to make this available to you guys via some sort of upload link, so check the description for that. Alright, so launch Season Pass 4.4.4. And what I want you to do is go ahead and again press the shift button, or hold the shift button and left click, giving you the option to choose the IPSW. Go ahead, click your desktop, and then go to untouched. Choose the IPSW appropriate for your device. Again, for me, 4.38F305, and we're going to go open. So you see now, Season Pass is just going ahead, unzipping it, decrypting it, and all the rest of it, and it's the exact same file. So as you can see, there's a problem with the latest version, so if you do get that error pop up, it just means you need to try an older version of Season Pass in order to get this to work for you. But hopefully the guys from FireCore or whoever it is that manages Season Pass will actually fix that soon. Alright, well I'll go ahead and let that do its thing, and I'll pick it up later on in the progress. Okay, so it says here waiting for the device to go into DFU mode. Just at this point go ahead and click cancel, because we don't actually want to restore our device using this particular IPSW, because it's not signed by iFaith, so there's no way that we could actually possibly restore our device to this particular firmware. So go ahead, click cancel. We no longer need Season Pass anymore from here on out, so we can go ahead and close Season Pass, close the folder as well. And what Season Pass has actually done for us is it has created an IPSW firmware that has been jailbreaked, and it has saved that particular jailbreaked firmware into our Documents folder. So if you click the Start button, then go to Documents, within that Documents folder you will see this folder, Season Pass. Okay, so as you recall, my software version is 4.38F305, and what you will see here is this additional content in the name SP. So SP obviously meaning season pass. So that is our jailbreaked piece of firmware that we're going to be working with. Okay, so what I want you to do is take that jailbreaked piece of firmware and I want you to drag it into the season pass folder that is on your desktop. And then close that down. So on your desktop, you should have the Season Pass 4.4.4 folder. Inside that, you'll have the Season Pass program itself, and you'll have your Season Pass jailbreaked firmware. So it should have SP in the name. If it doesn't have SP in the name, it means you've gone and found the wrong IPSW. Okay, from here on out, what we need to do is merge some files using a program called Total Commander. Now, I've actually already got Total Commander installed, so at this point what you should do is pause the video, go to the actual comment section down below and find the link for Total Commander and install that program. Okay, once you have Total Commander installed, what I want you to do is go ahead and make sure that you create a desktop shortcut for Total Commander. So here you can see my shortcut. Total Commander there. Okay, that's going to be important as we're going to need to drag some files onto that shortcut. So what I want you to do, after you've got that shortcut in place, I want you to right click and go to create a new folder, and what I want you to call that folder is just call it transfer. Okay, because we're going to use this folder as an intermediate folder in which to store the files that we're going to transfer. Okay, so you have your transfer folder on desktop, completely empty. Go ahead and open your Season Pass folder that contains your jailbreaked firmware. Remember, so this is the jailbreaked firmware 8, for me, 8F305 with SP in the name. Make sure it has that SP. If it doesn't say SP, then this isn't your jailbreaked firmware. So find that jailbreaked firmware, and then I want you to click and drag and hold it, dump it onto the actual Total Commander icon. Okay, Total Commander will pop up asking you to start the program, asking you to press a particular number in order to start the program. So for me, press 1. Okay, so once Total Commander opens up, what you're presented with is this 2-column setup. In the left-hand side will be all the files associated with the actual IPSW file that we just dumped onto Total Commander. So can't quite see it, but within this there are DMG files. Okay, so you can see the file extension there, DMG. Now on the right hand column, what I want you to do is go ahead and navigate into the transfer folder, which is empty because we just created it obviously. Okay, what I want you to do, go back to the left hand column and I need you to use the shift button to select the 2 DMG files. Make sure they've got that DMG file extension, and I want you to click and drag those 2 files over onto the transfer folder. So it'll just ask you unpack the selected files, just click OK, and you'll see the progress of those 2 files copying over. Okay, so then go ahead and close down Total Commander. Just close that window down as well. Alright, so now if I open up this transfer folder on the desktop, you see there's our 2 DMG files in there. So these are the jailbreaked DMG files. Okay, what I want you to do is go to your iFaith folder. So this is the firmware that has been signed using our SHSH blobs that iTunes will allow us to restore to. Okay, what I want you to do, find the signed IPSW, make sure it says signed in that name, and then drag it onto the Total Commander icon. Again, Total Commander will ask you to press a particular button in order to start the program, so click the button. Okay, so again in Total Commander, what we see is the same setup. On the left hand column are the files associated with our iFaith IPSW. And now this is the really important step. Okay, so as you can see, the DMG files actually have a very specific number associated with them. So as you can see, 03809555007. and over on the left hand column, which should still be navigated to the transfer folder on the desktop. If it's not, just navigate back to your transfer folder. What you should see is that the DMG files, like the file names for the DMG files in the transfer folder, should match those within the iFaith column. Okay, so the top one's 038, 0955007. As you can see, they match for me. Obviously yours won't be named the same, yours will be named different, but the files in your right hand column should be named the same as the files in your left hand column. Okay, and what I want you to do is copy the files from the right hand side. So these are the two DMG files in your transfer folder, and you want to copy those over into the actual left hand column, which is your iFaith IPSW. Now it's going to ask you, give you this option, just go ahead and hit OK, and it's going to give you the option to overwrite. Okay, so the reason it's giving the option is to overwrite is because the identical naming. If you don't get this option to overwrite, it means the files aren't named the same, obviously, and something has gone wrong. Okay, so click overwrite all. So that's now going to replace our non-jailbreaked DMG files in the iFaith firmware with the jailbreaked DMG files from the Season Pass firmware. Okay, once the progress is finished, go ahead and close Total Commander because we don't need it anymore. Okay, so back on our desktop, you have your iFaith folder. Okay, inside that iFaith folder, you have an IPSW that has signed in the name. This is now the firmware that you need to restore to using iTunes, because this firmware is not only signed, it now also incorporates the jailbreaked DMG files from the Season Pass firmware. Okay, so what you need to do at this point is open up iTunes. Okay, once you have iTunes open, what you need to do is hold down the Shift button and then click on Restore. It will pop up with the option of choosing the firmware that you want to restore to. So navigate to your desktop, then go to the iFaith folder on the desktop, and then choose the signed IPSW. Okay, and I'm not actually going to do it because my Apple TV2 is already jailbreaked and I don't want to go through the whole process again. But that's what you need to do. Click that signed IPSW and it should all proceed through quite well. iTunes will go ahead and restore to it, and once that's all done and dusted, you'll have a jailbreaked Apple TV2. Okay, so one quick point of note. When I actually initiated my restore through iTunes, what I actually got was an error 1600. After some reading around, I saw some people reporting that the error 1600 was due to a crappy cable, crappy micro USB cable. But this isn't actually the case. What you need to do is go ahead and download a program called iREB, so iREB. Nice little program. Go ahead and launch iREB. Within iREB you have the Apple TV2 option, and what I want you to do is just go ahead and follow the iREB steps for putting your device into DFU mode. Once you've used iREB to put your device into DFU mode, go ahead and attempt the restore in iTunes again, and you should have no troubles with that error 1600. Anyways, I hope this has actually been helpful for you guys. If it has worked for you, then yeah, please let me know. Cheers.